young parliamentarians. And those of you who have been reading about Bobi Wine in Uganda and what's happening there, it's so tragic that young people here can't even express themselves, let alone be young. It is tough. And Bobi Wine here, by the way, I understand, Bobi, is it true that without so much as saying it, you can't do an interview like this in your own country?
Yeah, it's hard. People who host me get intimidated. You know, the government doesn't come out to announce that they're officially banning me from being hosted on radio, TV stations, but they intimidate whoever tries to host me. You know, whoever hosts me is treated like a rebel.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So let's say they advertised, like we were doing it this afternoon, that Bobi Wine was coming on their show. Would that be cancelled by evening if it was a live show? Would it be cancelled?
Most probably.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I read somewhere you had a concert, or you have an upcoming concert on the 20th of October.
Yeah.
And then a message came after that saying it's been cancelled.
Well, the police has not officially announced that they're cancelling the show because we fulfilled all the requirements. I wrote to the police and we paid for the stadium and we advertised, but it's from various sources and the police is silent about that. They don't want to, it's more of a method of demobilization before they officially.
Do you plan to have that concert?
I am going to have that concert.
On the 20th?
On the 20th in Nambole Stadium. I'm going to be there. And I'm actually inviting Kenyan brothers and sisters as well to come. I mean, we got to do this. Yeah.
Babu, you going to go?
I think I should be going.
You should be there, man.
Museveni already, the Speaker of the National Assembly in Uganda sent a letter to our Speaker.
Yeah.
And one of the things they were saying that I should be punished for fighting Museveni. And again, from my sources, I got information that Museveni is saying that I'm banned from stepping in Uganda. But I will step there. There's no problem about that because it is what it is.
Illegal.
Whatever will be, will be.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're going to go Kiumane?
I'll not be the first person to die.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yes.
I wonder if I'll be allowed back in Kampala.
And you're also here.
Oh, well. Do you fear for your life, Bobi?
What can I say?
You have a young family.
Yeah, for now, there's nothing more to fear. I always feared for the worst. The worst has already happened. So there's nothing anymore to fear. But to be very honest with you, I'm a human being, and many times I fear for my life, man. I love my children. I want to see them grow up. I want to see them graduate. I want to see them get married. I love my wife. I got a young family. And every day they fear for the worst. Every day I fear for the worst too. But again, I fear growing old in a messed up country even more than dying. Yeah.
And the worst part is living with the fact that that phone call could come to your wife one of these days. That phone call that we all fear.
Yeah.
Does she caution you? Does your wife tell you, listen, honey, is this worth it?
Well, my wife knows that it's worth it because we are actually living a meaningless life. You know, it doesn't matter how much money you get. It doesn't matter how popular you get. If your people are not free, you are not free. Jeff, I come from the ghetto. You know, even though the common people raised me and gave me the opportunity to be in the studio talking to you right now, many of them are still stuck there. And they look at me as the only option of having their voice out there. So when I speak, I'm not speaking for me. I'm speaking for the many people there, the millions and millions of people. Last time I was telling my children, when they ask me why I'm always gone and why I'm never with them, I told them, you're my babies. But there are millions of children that also look at me as a father that need me, and I've got to be there for them, especially when I still can, because I know this is just a blessing that came to me to be able to speak for them, and I know many other people are coming after me. So I need to inspire them to the right direction so that when they come up in many numbers, they can be able to follow the right path.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, you have a 3-year-old, and obviously they see you a lot in the news.
Yeah.
When you came home after those injuries, after that horrific beating you got, did they ask, you know, who beat you up, Daddy? I mean, what happened?
Well, their mother tried to hide the bad news from them, but at school, they got to know everything. So when my daughters saw me, they just broke down and cried and came and hugged me, asked me if I was okay, asked me if the policemen are going to come and beat me again. You know, it was sad. It's always sad. It's not a very good experience. Yeah. But what to do? I gotta do what I gotta do.
I guess the bottom line, Bobby, is all this worth it? Is it worth it, what you go through, what your family goes through? Is it worth it?
Jeff, it's not about my family. What other countrymen and countrywomen are going through is much worse than me. It's much worse than my family. This is Bobi Wine's family, okay? Much as we still face the oppression, at least courtesy of those poor people that come together one by one to make the millions that support me through my endeavors, through my businesses, and through my music, that have helped me escape extreme poverty. So what they go through is much worse than what I go through, you know. All I can do is to speak for them. That's a little I can do, and I want to do it for as long as I can do it. And you know what? It is so worth it. Yeah.
Babu, is this situation gonna end in an ugly way? Uganda in general, will it be ugly?
Whichever way it ends, Jeff, there has to be a change. And you know, change does not come easy. There has to be a struggle. Whenever there is a revolution, there must be struggle. And the tree of liberty, of freedom, is watered by the blood of our patriots. So by the end of the day, whatever Bobi Wine is doing, I support it 101%. If a situation is coming up in Kenya, I will be the first person to be at the forefront to fight for the interest of Kenyans. Remember, we have a responsibility, and we have the responsibility to lead. We have the responsibility to provide solutions. We have the responsibility to work for the people who put us in these positions. And remember, Jeff, during the Nazi war in Germany, when the oppressed went for the oppressors, they went for the Samaritans. The people said, we are not Samaritans. So all the Samaritans were killed and they were left. Then they went for the trade unionists. They killed all the trade unionists. The people said, some of the people said, we are not trade unionists. And they were left. Then they went for the priests. They killed all the priests. Meanwhile, people are still saying that we are not priests. So they were left. Then finally they came for them. There was nobody left to defend them. And they were all destroyed. My advice to the young, to this nation, women, men, and the youth, let us get united. Remember, you woke up or you wake up very early in the morning to elect a leader. The sovereignty of a nation, the power of a nation is with the people. The people in power is stronger, the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. And when you elect these people, they should deliver. When you are united, you will never beg. Divided, you beg.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bobby, before the break, we'll talk about age limits in your country, and your parliament just scrapped age limits, meaning 76-year-old President Museveni can run for another term. Yeah. I mean, the parliament that you sit in, what is this? Are they toothless bulldogs, or what is it?
Well, it is sad that I sit in the same parliament, you know, the same parliament that, in my opinion, has been reduced to just a talk show, you know, and a rubber stamp for whatever the president wants. Yeah. Many of the colleague members of parliament, in the lobbies or corridors of parliament, they were, you know, being candid to me and to other members and telling us they didn't support that, but because they're scared. And yes, some of them just don't want to bite the hand that feeds them. They went against their people. The majority of the people of Uganda, surveys were carried and polls were made, and over 80% of the Ugandans wanted their constitution intact. People protested and demonstrated, but many were brutalized, killed, and yes, some of them are still in incarceration for protesting against the amendment of the constitution. Yeah. So even if it was against the will of the people, it was done anyway, and that actually was the reason why me and together with some other young people in Uganda came together and started the People Power movement to make sure that the power of the people is reflected. You know, we don't bank on our parliamentarians alone or the politicians. No, we are calling upon the people of Uganda, particularly the young people, to stand up, to speak and be heard. And that's why we started the People Power movement.
Yeah. Babu, aren't you grateful that in this country, Parliament can't just change the constitution just like that? I mean, there's a referendum we're talking about right now, or talk of a referendum. But that has a long way to go still. These guys just did it overnight.
I think our referendum is being politicized because of different political interests. But if it were for the best interest of the Kenyans, then there should be a referendum. There should be a constitution that is changed to cater for the interest of all the Kenyan citizens. A constitution that is going to serve the interest of the Kenyan citizens. But once it is politicized, it will be a different thing. Right now, as I speak, Jeff, it is quite shameful, and I will say it. It is shameful even with our parliament, because our parliament, at times, things that we pass, they are not taken into consideration. It is time for the parliament to come up. Remember that parliament is an independent body that should not and should never be intimidated even by the executive. Parliament should make its own decisions. I was surprised. Even a cabinet secretary who is just appointed. Remember, members of parliament are elected. Cabinet secretary who is just appointed is summoned by the parliamentary committees. Then he fails to come. What is he trying to tell parliamentarians? That you don't have the powers. While they are appointed and approved in parliament, parliament has the authority to impeach them. Even the president, the parliament can impeach the president, and we go for another election. So by the end of the day, MPs must stand strong. It is time for us to get out of our political affiliations. Let us be related with our party ideologies, but let us not use the same ideologies to oppress Kenyan citizens. Let us use the same ideologies to help the Kenyan citizens. Therefore, parliamentarians should be independent and should make decisions that is going to impact positively in the lives of the Kenyans.
Bobby, a lot of people are asking, do you have security when you're traveling around? Do you have security?
Well, God is my security, and the common people are my security. I mean, I cannot have security that is as well equipped as our military. In Uganda, when you speak up against Museveni, you're up against the Uganda People's Defense Forces, you're up against Uganda Police, you're up against Bank of Uganda, you're up against all institutions, because he got all the institutions in his pocket. So there's no need for me to pretend that I'm being protected, and yet I'm surrounded everywhere. So I just do it my way, the ghetto way. Yeah.
Do you miss your music? Do you miss those days?
Yes, Jeff, I miss my old self. I miss my freedom, but it was illusional. You know, I don't regret any decision that I took, because whatever I decided because it was a calling. It was not about me, you know. So much as I miss my old self, I still know that I can be able to sing, although I cannot have as much freedom and privacy like I used to. Yeah.
Babu, I mean, I keep listening to Bobby here, and it's like we're in a different planet, huh? Honestly, it's like we're on a different planet, and it's right next door.
I think Uganda is too extreme. Even Kenya, we have issues like extrajudicial killings. We have other issues of oppressing the Kenyan citizens.
Yeah, but maybe we're a lot better off in many ways.
I think theirs is more, you know Museveni, Machiavelli was advising that if you greet your enemy, then you better greet your enemy with a velvet with metallic fist covered with a velvet glove, so that your enemy is just seeing that the prettiness of the glove, but inside you squeeze the hands of your enemy. But him is doing it bare fist. There is no velvet glove. So by the end of the day, what I would love to advise Bobi Wine and other young parliamentarians in Uganda is that fight on. Do not give up, even if it means that it leads to death. Fight on. By the end of the day, the people of Uganda will be free.
It's easy for you to say. I mean, you're sitting in your comfort here in Nairobi.
But you see, you saw what I did. When I'm fighting for the ideologies that I believe in, I go extreme.
Yeah.
I go extreme and nobody can tell me no. Because that is what I believe in.
Yes.
Yes.
Bobby, there's a lot of people are asking this question. Do you want to be president? And if so, what kind of president would you be?
I think we should answer the second part of the question and edit it further and say, what kind of president do we want? We want a servant leader, not a boss leader, okay? And again, it doesn't have to be about the presidency. No, Uganda is full of more than 40 million people, and each of those people can play a role if they are well led. It doesn't matter, like my brother Babu said, it doesn't matter who is president, for as long as the institutions are dead the way they are now, it will not make any difference. So before we even think of presidency, let's give power to the people to choose and unchoose that president. That's the only way the presidency will make sense.
You still didn't answer my question. Do you want to be president?
I think that's, again, a diversional question, especially with the struggle that we are involved in back home.
He's already a ghetto president.
Yeah.
He's already a president.
You know, I'm already a ghetto president. You know, we don't want to reduce that to individuals. We don't want to reduce that to who wants to be president. No, we all want to be free as the people of Uganda. And before we point on who wants to be president and who doesn't want to be president, I think we should first embrace our struggle as a whole. Jeff, we have believed in liberators before, and this is where liberators brought us. We don't need another liberator. And I tell my friends every day that I am not your liberator, yo. I'm just one of you, you know. Don't look at me as another savior, because saviors or so-called saviors have gotten us here. They end up having that sense of entitlement. Oh, I saved you, so you got to listen to me. We don't believe in that. I know that I qualify like anybody else, but I'm not looking at me now. I'm looking at all of us. When we get to that, and the people are empowered enough, the people of Uganda will choose their president.
Very subtly put, but okay, I'll take that for an answer. Before we take a break, let me read a couple of tweets here. Robert Barale, he's actually watching you all the way from Atlanta, Georgia right now. He says, this man is a sure leader, brave and articulate, fearless. He is a new crop of African leader. God bless you.
Thank you.
Asmali Ahmed Mohammed, all the way in Eastleigh, he says, the term often used to describe young people who stand up to corrupt systems in Africa is young and rebellious, which is what we've been calling you guys, right?
Yeah.
He says, I'm not comfortable with that term. These guys are young, conscious, and agents of change. Great to see Bobi Wine articulating his vision on JKL. And Babu Owino, not too bad either. We're going to take a break, come back, and read more of these tweets, more reactions. I'm sure Uganda is watching. I'm
Definitely.
sure President Museveni is watching.
He better be watching.
He better
And watch this space.
And watch the space.
Jeff Koinange, hit like. Keep your tweets, questions, comments coming at Koinange Jeff at Citizen TV Kenya. Hashtag, as always, is JK Live. JK Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.
JKL brought to you by Telkom Enterprise.
Has been digitized. The most important thing to Dormans as a company is its stability. That is exactly what Telkom has delivered to us.